Hey guys, good evening and welcome back. Thank you so much. This is Donna Sharp with Holistic Wellbeing. I pray that you guys had a fantastic Friday today, that you are at least able to go outside, get some sun, get away from the norm of things. You know, a lot of people look forward to Fridays, and I always tell people, just don't rush your life away. Mondays should be just as good as Fridays. So when you hear people say TGIF, oh my goodness, I'm so glad it's Friday. I often will tell them, don't rush your life away. Be just as excited for Mondays as you are on Fridays. Hello, Miss Stein. How are you? Welcome and thank you for joining. So this evening, as I mentioned, I've been speaking from a book, How to Build Strong Families. And I have been on this for an entire month, believe it or not. So we're winding down. We're coming to the end. So if you're just joining me towards the latter part of the segment, I'm just going to encourage you to take a look back at the previous lives I've done, because it will make more sense when you maybe spend some time. You need that quality time anyway. And just hit the play button on my replay on my lives, because all of them are titled, so you can get a chance to see why it's so important for families to really foster the best relationship with their children, and how they do so is exactly the habits and traits that they help their children to develop as they progress throughout life. So we spoke on many things, many things. So tonight what I'll be speaking on is ancestor birthday parties, And the question I have for you is, how do you build a child's identity and self-image? You know, children, as they grow up, they have different personalities. They learn from their parents. They learn from their friends. And some things they learn you don't want them to learn, right? So what's nice about the ancestry birthday parties is making sure that you're bridging a gap so that they can become aware of who their past ancestors were, and understand what things made them tick, what did they gravitate to, what things did they not like, because believe it or not, there are some simple connections from that. All right, so our valuable lessons that are often overlooked is building a children's positive identity, self-image, and it's also done through ancestors. And here's the reason why. Children who know a little bit about their grandparents or grandparents can come to understand that they are descended from people, and that the qualities of talents or good characteristics of these ancestors can be passed on and can be part of their lives. The same way sometimes you will have the doctor that may say, well, what kind of past history, medical history do you have? One of the things that they look for in that is they want to see if there's any consistency in any particular diminishing of the body as it pertains to a dis-ease in the body that may be associated with a past relative that could possibly be passed down from generations to generations. So sometimes there are traits that your family members have in the past that you're wondering, well, how did I get this? You know, and it's sometimes you may think, well, how could that be so? But remember, we have this thing called DNA and genes, and there's so many things that are duplicatable. Like a lot of times how you see a lot of these children look just like their parents, and I'm a witness to that one. So these things take place, and when they have a clear understanding of what their grandparents were like, their past ancestry, then they can go back and associate things that they may be doing now with things that their grandparents may have done in the past, right? So good characteristics of these ancestors can be passed on and can be part of their lives. Write down any stories you know about an ancestor that shows courage or honesty or some other good trait. Get hold of any photos you can find. Then on the ancestry birthday, make a birthday cake, have a little party, and read the stories of reflections you've written about his life, his or her life and characteristics. So with all this said, the one thing that I want to say is, I don't know how many of you have actually gone so far as to, they have the 23andMe and all the other things. So many people don't understand where they came from, right? They have a little bit of everything in them. And I think as we go through life and we try to identify with where we are in the present, it's nice to see where we came from, you know? I'm smiling because some things that people say to me sometimes, and I look at them And I tell them, I said, it is what it is. This is who I am. This is why I look the way I do. And, I've had people look at me and tell me that I look exotic because they don't know how, they're trying to figure out where I really am from. And so, again, it builds on years and years and years of ancestry and a collection of DNA that we have collected from the past, right? So it's nice to maybe find one of those programs where you can identify with people from your past. And some children, they might have lost a parent at a younger age, and so they don't even know as far back as a grandparent. So it's nice to be able to track that down, that record down, learn about your past ancestries, and then take it moving forward and just kind of meditate on it and just see where it sits in your spirit. Nothing crazy that you have to think about, but meditate on it like everything else that we go through in life, right? So here's a little story that's mentioned by Eli. Eli is 10. And from the book that I've been speaking on, the children of these two parents often will share a story, and that's how they tie it in with their existing, where they are currently. And what you're basically doing is reflecting. So this whole section that I've been speaking on over the past week or so is based on traditions and developing traditions for your children. So it can create a lasting memory for those children. Okay. So here's what little Eli said. Eli is 10. And it's so cute because when they write these stories, they write it in their own language. So the spelling don't match anything, but you can actually hear what it's supposed to be. What it's supposed to be. So Eli says, we have a book of our family called the Ancestor Book. It has been stories, pictures, and much more information on each and every ancestry we have. I like to hear these stories because in a way they are about me. I mean, I came from them, so I kind of like them. And it helps me to know what things were little back then. Also, if you have a birthday party for them, you get a lot more parties and a lot more cake. So you see where his priorities lie, right? This book gives a lot of information on our ancestry and our family traditions. I highly recommend it. So get help with your ancestry tradition from the members of your extended family. Now remember, sometimes when you're going back in the genealogy, you may not be able to track some of these things down as fast because you may not necessarily have access to pictures that you would like to have seen with your past relatives. But it's nice to do some research so you can gather the information and just go back again, like I said, and reflect on it. So share your genealogy information with each of the members in your family, such as photos, copies of Ancestry Journal, and so on. If your family hasn't done much genealogy, split up the research opportunity within your extended family. Do some looking and then some sharing. Various civic governments and church libraries of archives have a surprising amount of information, and with the computer, it is easier than ever to access. The Mormon Church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, has a branch genealogy libraries all over the country that are free to public, and that ties in the most extensive genealogy research database in the world. Now, the only thing I can tell you is, hi, Miss Mildred, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining. So the only thing I can tell you guys is that if you're from a different country like I am and you're going to look for your genealogy, I don't know necessarily that you'll find some of these things, because being from Jamaica, some of these past ancestries that we have, it may be a little bit difficult to track it down. And it's not just from Jamaica, from some of the other countries as well. You'll hear them tell you, I don't know what day I'm really born on, because, in Jamaica, they just kind of make up a date when you're born, right? So it may be a little bit tougher to learn the genealogy about your past ancestry, but it's nice to still sit down and just break it up amongst your family and extended family. Get them each to do research on their past history, and you'll be amazed. Some of these genealogy location programs, you will be able to, when you look it up, you are going to find that you may have some French in you, you may have some Latin in you, you may have some, and you'll see all of this. And I'm going to close with this story. There's one time I saw this show on television. I don't remember what it's called. But this particular gentleman, what they do is they challenge people from the audience. I'm going far back, so I'm trying to resurface my memory. Anyway, this gentleman said that he did not like, I think, Spanish people. Okay, he didn't care for Spanish. He think they come to our country, they don't belong here, and they take over everything, and it's not fair to the Americans. Well, anyway, he had them selected from this show that they're doing. All right. And they put him on the spot to see how well he basically was able to deal and handle with pressure. So they put him on the spot and they ended up sitting him across from someone that was from Spain, from a Spanish person. And he had to sit there and stare in the guy's eyes for 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. And when I tell you, this guy was so uncomfortable with that. He was so uncomfortable, he couldn't even barely make it past a minute. He started to tear up and he broke down, and his heart just melted because he felt the pain that the person went through that sat across from him. So it was a challenge for him. But what was more interesting is they did a research and a genealogy test because they wanted to see what background he had. Okay. And when they did it, they found that he had a little bit of French in him, a little bit of American, a little bit of Spain. And what was funny is he had the same descent, part of the same descent as this gentleman that he stood across from and had to stare in his face for 4 to 5 minutes. And he was just broken down because here he is criticizing somebody from another country, right? When in fact he had some of the same traits within his own body. So be very careful who you criticize out there, because you don't know that you could very well be a part of the same descent, right? And you're here not spreading love like God would want us to spread love for our people, and not judge anyone, not criticize anyone, because you don't know exactly where you come from. So that's what I wanted to share with you this evening. Again, the title is Ancestor Birthday Parties. Get to know your ancestors. Start to learn about your past family members. As I mentioned, some children may lose parents when they were younger. Some people may not have even known their grandparents. Start to do some research, and you don't have to make it anything big. When you find out, just meditate on it, let it resonate in your spirit, and just ask God, what would you want me to learn from this? But as I mentioned from this short section, you'll see that a lot of the traits that you may have today, it might be based on some of those same traits, habits, and things that your past ancestries had. And it's just something fascinating to see. All right. So I am your holistic and wellness life coach. And as always, I mentioned, if you find that this was valuable to you, take this information, pass it on to a friend. Do not share the information I just mentioned with them, because what typically happens is you may miss an important factor that I spoke on, when in fact you can just share this live with them and they can hear it for themselves. So if you'd like to learn more about me, log on to my website. It's holisticwellbeing.com. And please remember, guys, you have to keep the Lord at the top of your list, because anything that you're trying to accomplish in life, it will only flow in the right path if you keep the right things in front of you at all time. Remember, look up at God and don't look in front of you, because you might be very disappointed. All right. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. If you love what you heard, please hit the love button. I don't like the thumbs up. Hey, it is what it is. That's very dry, right? So hit the love button, share it with a friend, and most of all, join me again tomorrow evening. If this is your first time joining me, this is my day 519. I've been speaking straight from January 1st of 2019 until this day. I've recently broke that 500 mark. So I'm so delighted to be here. Another moment for me to pour into you and share some fantastic information with you. If you'd like to look at any of my previous lives, please don't hesitate to go back on my page and see which ones they are. Remember, they're all titled, so maybe something resonates in your spirit. I've spoken on many different subjects. I've spoken on the brain, the chakra system. I've spoken on everything health related, everything food related. Hi, Auntie. Everything food related. And so if you go back, you'll see all the things I've spoken on in the past, and you can just take it to just start to learn some different things and add it as nuggets to your backpack. All right. So I will be back again tomorrow. I believe it's going to be day 520 on this wonderful Super Saturday. Wherever you are, I pray that you're being safe and you're really protecting your family. Pray over them every night. Ask God for protection for them, because our world right now is upside down. You have to stay focused on God, because you want to make sure you're gaining all your strength and pulling from Him. All right. Aunt Mildred, thank you so much for joining. And Miss Stein, thank you for joining. If anyone else logged in later on, hit the replay button after you've watched it live. And most of all, I will see you back again tomorrow. By the way, on Monday, which is coming up, June the 1st, I will no longer be on this platform. I will be moving over to my fan page, which I I've been working on. No longer be doing anything for my personal page. So if I did not send you a like my page, then message me, inbox me. I'll be surely happy to send something to you because I'll not be reaching out to just anyone. But all of my lives will be done from that page. All right. So I'll see you guys again. Same time. Well, not same time, but I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, have a blessed night and stay safe. Take care. Ciao.